Providing patients with safe and effective medicines requires robust security in the pharmaceutical supply chain and adherence to the highest standards for safety and regulatory compliance. Domestic and international governmental regulations have been implemented to help ensure the integrity of the global supply chain. Through the use of integrated and multi-layered technologies, a systematic methodology has been developed to combat counterfeit products, thereby enabling validation of the integrity of each drug package delivered to patients. PCI has invested in a sophisticated network of technologies to provide serialized drug product. We partner with clients throughout the development and implementation of their global supply chain security initiatives and provide flexible and adaptable solutions to address each client's unique needs. PCI's staff engages with leading industry groups such as GS1 to maintain comprehensive expertise in current serialization requirements and to stay ahead of future requirements as they continue to evolve for both developed and emerging markets around the world. PCI has been actively providing serialized commercial product for both domestic and global markets for many years and has a robust understanding of the complex requirements. Our industry expertise is further supported through partnership with leading serialization technology firm Anteris, the platform provider for PCI's global serialization services. PCI provides clients with serialization expertise and services that adapt to the unique needs of their drug product, package configuration and market destination. We feature tailored and scalable solutions depending on project scope and support a wide range of drug products from targeted therapies with small patient populations to high-volume global medicines. This flexible approach extends to our adaptable technologies and enables PCI to accommodate differing regulatory requirements in various countries around the world. PCI supports clients with both integrated serialization technologies for highly automated packaging, as well as configurable offline technologies capable of providing serialization for almost any package format. We offer solutions for a variety of package delivery forms, including primary, secondary and tertiary packaging, as well as providing a finishing solution for pre-packaged medicines, simply needing the addition of serialized codes. To meet individual market requirements and client preferences, PCI also offers inline product aggregation, which ensures a structured parent-child relationship amongst the various levels of packaging integration throughout the complete batch, from primary, secondary and tertiary packaging through palletization. This aggregation solution allows clients to receive the secure, detailed account of their drug product, critical to a safe supply chain. PCI applies the same flexible approach to the serialization data exchange process. Our inbound and outbound secure data exchange allows clients to utilize and leverage existing EPCIS and ERP networks as part of their individual global strategy. PCI interfaces with client-preferred IT architecture, which ensures a seamless and secure networked data exchange for inbound codes, as well as completed and commissioned codes upon batch release. PCI advances a true partnership model in meeting the evolving requirements of global track and trace. Let our expert and experienced staff help you craft a global strategy for meeting the needs of a safe and secure supply chain.
So that concludes my presentation. Any questions? No, I thought it might be a better visual, better understanding if you could actually see some of the activity surrounding serialization. So, my name is Justin Schroeder, head of marketing and design for PCI. For full disclosure, I'm not German, so please don't speak German to me. I won't understand a word you're saying. But I did want to speak to you today a little bit about serialization and the journey that PCI has been on. I'm actually filling in for our serialization expert, Ian Parsonage, who happens to be in Italy, working on serialization equipment right now. So I'll give you a synopsis of what's happened at PCI, some of the lessons that we've learned along the way, and certainly take any questions you might have at the end. So PCI as a company really has three main business segments. We have a drug manufacturing business, we have a clinical trials business, and then certainly our commercial packaging business. And so in the context of serialization, that really affects the activity in that commercial packaging business. So for us, as a leading CMO or leading contract packager supporting a significant amount of the pharmaceutical industry, we had to provide a serialization solution that was best in class, really provided that level of data security, but also it's a very consultative approach to the way we're engaging our customers. We want to make sure that the best practices that we're learning on one application are being spread across the business. And so that's a very active part of our business, not only for the big pharmaceutical clients, for many small and virtual clients as well. So our serialization journey actually started around 2010. Up until that time, we had been doing a lot of investigative activity. We've been doing some pilot studies with serialization, with RFID. But like many in the industry, we were waiting for that trigger point to say, all right, we really need to move forward with this in earnest. And at the time, we were fortunate to have an application where a client of ours came to us with an animal health therapy where they were seeing their product actually being diverted in the supply chain and not ending up where they intended it to be. And so they looked at serialization as a solution to be able to kind of track through the system throughout the supply chain where their drug was going. At the time, that was a bit of an engineering project for us. Fortunately for us, we had a pretty good pool of knowledge within our team, mainly around vision application, so the application of codes, and then also pairing that with the machine vision to be able to create that platform for what was essentially at the time a homegrown solution for serialization. So for us at the time, that was creating a methodology to apply both visible codes, black codes on the packaging, but also discrete covert codes that were using UV ink as well, different codes representing different facets of the data security. We also did aggregation at that time, multi-level aggregation with that program. So we were putting tubes into blister packs into cartons, cartons into trays, and trays into shippers. In that approach. And that allowed us to have a lot of hands-on learning when it came to serialization at the time. And again, doing that at a local level with a homegrown system. Also, at that time, in terms of data exchange, we were passing disks back and forth. A client had a set pool of serialized numbers they wanted us to use, which they transferred over to us via FedEx with a disk. We used the good codes, identified the bad codes, and transferred that data right back to them in that old-fashioned way of trading disks. So that was a good way to cut our teeth at the time. So the question then was, is this scalable? Is this body of knowledge that we have, this capability around equipment that we did in-house, something that we can scale up en masse as serialization started to take root? For us, we realized pretty quickly that was not the case. We needed to go outside. We needed to find a best-in-class solution from an equipment provider perspective that could support us in the scale that we needed. So we began that process. We looked at three main key principles that we needed to identify. One was we wanted to make it as easy as possible for our clients. We have clients big and small, north of 250 clients total. It couldn't be a single solution that was going to work for everybody, so we wanted to make something that was very, very flexible. Likewise, we want to make sure that we had a solution that didn't force our customers into a certain architecture or methodology. We recognized that there really wasn't an established standard in the industry, and we knew that people were going to take different approaches, and as best as we could within our systems, we wanted to make something that would accommodate their desires. And then lastly, we wanted to make sure that we created something that was going to work for all of our operations, whether they were in the US, whether they're in Europe or elsewhere. So we set down that path in our investigation. Along the way, we also desired to have something that, of course, was the market leader which at the time, at 2010, there was a lot of talk, but there wasn't a whole lot of action in the serialization space. We wanted to have something that was a mature solution, something that had actually demonstrated success out in the market, and then certainly something that could support us at that time, but also as we get closer to 2017 and we needed it in mass, that could support us as well. So we were very fortunate. We settled on Antares Vision. At the time, Antares had already done over 300 installations and was a very mature product. They are supported in the US by Zyntech, an integration company, which also brought a lot of knowledge and expertise to the space as well. We were very fortunate to have made this selection at the time. They've been a great provider to us through this journey and allowed us to really scale successfully. So the next step for us really was that look at, we've got one signature customer who really wants to move forward with us in earnest, ahead of the regulations. And that really gave us the momentum to be able to scale this up considerably. So at this point, we were looking at millions and millions of serialization units. So in that program, one of our top client, happens to be a top 5 global client, really put forth a strong effort with regards to serialization. They had a defined strategy. They knew exactly what they wanted to do, both with their CMO base as well as internally. And really, we were kind of the pilot project for them before they did anything internally. So we kind of played guinea pig for them. The other interesting wrinkle in this is that we were looking to install serialization equipment on some legacy equipment that we actually inherited from them as they had closed one of their facilities. And so that was an interesting learning as well. For some of the equipment, it was rather dated, and so it was a significant installation process. They also wanted full aggregation. They wanted to be at a level where we're doing a system-to-system data integration, not passing disks, but really doing it at a corporate-to-corporate level. They had also chosen TraceLink as their EPCIS provider, and TraceLink was definitely in an evolution phase as well as they got more mature with their product. So all in all, it was a great program. It really gave us that boost in our process to get going. But it was pretty intense from a resource perspective, from OEE management perspective. We took it on the chin on some of those lines right out of the gate as we kind of worked out the bugs. But in the end, it really was a great relationship. And actually, it went so well that that client ended up choosing Antares as their corporate provider as well, which was significant for all of us. So the next phase in our journey was that additional scale now. Now we're bringing on additional customers. We are looking at serialization taking effect in ex-US markets, South Korea, for instance. And being that there's different requirements in each country, there's a lot of nuance there. We started to look at what we might want in a standalone serialization unit as well, something that's not going to be integrated in the line, but is simply a standalone activity. And then certainly looking now at if this thing really gets to the scale that we anticipate it's going to be, which is where we're at right now, what other equipment providers can support us to be able to make sure that we meet the deadlines and the commitments that we've got for our customers. So in that process, a few key activities. The integration both of big pharma as well as small pharma. It's interesting, big pharma typically had a strategy, but maybe didn't have all the wheels going in the right motion, whereas small pharma didn't have the strategy, but they're eager to go. And so you have this dichotomy, and every situation is unique, every application is unique in that world. We also were taking on a lot of new business for meeting the needs of those ex-US markets because there wasn't a whole lot of infrastructure to support those programs, and often those are small, kind of modestly sized programs for those countries. We also saw the opportunity for us to develop that standalone piece of equipment that allowed us to do serialization, and we have seen clients actually come to us and say, hey, PCI, we know you didn't pack this material, but could you simply serialize it for us? And that allowed us to have a solution for that. And lastly, we really recognized that we needed to go out and kick the tires on a few more of those serialization equipment providers to say, hey, what else is out there that can really meet our needs, but also ensure all the deliverables that we want. So if you're to fast forward to where we're at today, pretty significant activity right now with what we're doing. If you look at PCI as a whole, we're providing drug products to over 100 different countries throughout the world. Many of those are serialized. Obviously, many are not. We're doing that across 18 facilities, concentrated in North America and Europe. And by scale, we're about 3,200 employees. What's also interesting in our business is that we provide services not only for ethical pharmaceuticals, but many other healthcare-related areas as well. So you have this resource demand on the ethical business, but at the same time, that asset may run OTC product, which has no serialization requirements as well. And so you do have some of those challenges also. We also recently announced that we just acquired a company. And so we have 4 new facilities that will be added to this mix as well, which adds another wrinkle to all this activity. But by the numbers, if you were to look at us in summary, we've probably spent an order of $60 million in serialization equipment over the last 3 years in this scale up. Expect that we still have more to spend, frankly. It's a pretty significant activity. Many drug delivery forms. Fortunately, we do see that a fair amount of the saleable products do end up in a carton or a bottle, but those may be big, small, all kinds of different varieties, and so that creates a lot of wrinkles for us across those 250 customers that we have. By our count, we will end up serializing more than 80 lines across our supply network, which is a pretty significant undertaking for us. That's going to affect 10 of our 18 facilities. So in terms of activity right now, we are installing 3 to 5 lines per week. I can't stress enough the level of effort and resource that's going into this. We also have a dedicated serialization team. And one of the things that I find very interesting about this activity is you do have a lot of the traditional engineering type roles on that team, but you also have a lot of IT professionals on that team as well. It's a very interesting balance, kind of in uncharted waters in that regard with regards to the amount of data exchange that happens. So obviously this is a bit of an eye chart in terms of the tech size, but that gives you a sense of what that serialization team looks like just in terms of head count and roles and activities. Really divided 50-50 on the technical side, but also on the program management side as we engage our customers and do all this one-to-one data integration. Again, another eye chart, and I won't go through this in detail, but as you guys may be well aware, there's a lot of activity in individual countries, some of which may not jive, and so we do see, even in sizable emerging markets, there's a lot of activity and a lot of flux continuing to play, even though the US and EU have kind of put their stake in the sand. Brazil has backtracked on some of their requirements. China has come back a little bit on some of their requirements. So of these 58 countries that we're keeping tabs on who currently have some type of serialization requirement, there's still a lot of play and a lot of change. And so this is something we keep a pulse on every single day to follow. As I mentioned, for us, Antares has been a great provider to us. They really allowed us to kind of grow and expand, but we did recognize that Antares would be hard-pressed to meet the resource requirement that we were going to have in this space, particularly this year. We have tripled the capacity of our serialization equipment, and so we did actually go out and look for a second supplier. Antares being an Italian company, we were fortunate to also settle on Marcassini as a secondary supplier to us. And what was really great about this relationship is that Marcassini was open to taking Antares' infrastructure for their equipment. So we dual source our equipment, but it all runs the Antares platform. So our machine operators have that consistency in the operation of the equipment, the training, extensive training on that, as you'd expect, but also in that data uptake at the site level up to the enterprise level. That is all through the Antares platform, even though we're dual sourced, which has been very, very astute in our serialization team and their approach to that. So in terms of our administration of that data exchange, this is our enterprise architecture. We have our ERP system, which sits outside of our main serialization hub, but does have a strong interaction on a day-to-day level. So we will begin by requesting serialization numbers from our clients or from their EPCIS provider. We treat that quantity of data as we would materials. We do MRP type systems to be able to manage that, to make sure that we have the appropriate amount of numbers to be able to support the packaging run. So that information will be passed along at an enterprise level within our system. That'll sit above all the sites. From there, that will scale down to our individual sites at a plant level. Obviously, within the plant, we have hundreds of lines at those units as well. So the next step in that process is pushing that data from the enterprise level to the plant level down to the actual line level, where the serialization information is going to be applied to the packages. So as that activity happens, obviously good data is going to be taken back up. So we will know what were good codes, what were bad codes, and we need to provide both of those points of information back to our clients. So that'll go back to the plant level. Oops. Push back up to our enterprise level, and then ultimately back to our customers, typically through their EPCIS provider. They can then carry that data downstream to their third-party logistics provider, their distribution centers, their wholesalers, trade partners, etc. This structure has been a great architecture for us in terms of the administration of serialization. At the same time, it creates some inherent challenges in trying to provide that level of flexibility to our customers, because everybody's going to be providing data to us in a different way with a different EPCIS provider, etc. Generally following a GS1 standard, but very loosely. So for us, that creates a situation where we're literally mapping out information with our customers one-to-one. But the beauty of it is, once we've done that, they're mapped to our entire system. And so it's simply a one-time approach to that. In terms of the overall scale of our business right now, as I mentioned, we're going to be serializing north of 80 lines. A lot of activity on our side to get that equipment installed and ready. We still see a significant lag with our customer base in terms of their preparedness on their side to initiate these programs. I would estimate we probably still have 35 to 40% of our clients who haven't really initiated a serialization effort at this point, which is pretty scary when you think about November is the requirement. And obviously there's been some delayed enforcement, but in principle the date didn't really move. And so even at a year out, there's a significant amount of work to be done with those clients. I would say on the UK or on the EU side, probably only about 35% of our clients have initiated that for what is February 2019, which is really not that far away either. So still a consistent lag, which mirrors what we've seen in all the polling that we've done externally as well. We did a webinar recently in July where less than 40% of the respondents identified that they had initiated some type of solution for serialization as well. So still that considerable lag, and you can see why the FDA did delay enforcement, because there's a lot of concern out there, which is justifiable. So as we talk to our customers about serialization when they first get started, a few key points that we really try and get out there immediately. What's the scope of work? How many SKUs are we talking about? Where are those SKUs going? Which countries? What is their goal and timeline for implementation, and what's reasonable? There's a lot of education, as you'd expect, that happens in that process. Also, at a broader level, what are they intending to do in this effort? Are they simply trying to meet the FDA or EU requirement, or do they have a broader serialization anti-counterfeiting strategy for that supply chain security? And so there's a lot of discussion simply about serialization, as you'd expect, but we really want to flesh out some of those other factors, tamper evidency, anti-counterfeiting features, a lot of those type of things. We really need to get out on the table so that we have the best solution for them right out of the gate. As I mentioned, one of the other things that we've really tried to pioneer is this standalone serialization solution. We have many small, virtual, emerging clients who have very modest-sized products. And so having a highly automated, sophisticated solution to run 3,000 units doesn't necessarily make sense. And so we did look at creating what we call a Flex Suite, which is a standalone serialization unit. That allows us to provide these kind of one-off serialization activities not sacrificing all the sophistication of our automated equipment, still having the vision inspection, full aggregation, and all those types of activities, but that it does allow us a lot of flexibility. We did pioneer our first line. We're actually on our Gen 2 line, which is a bit faster than our original line, and it's been a nice solution for us. We're actually up to 5 of these flex suites across our network. The other thing that we were very cognizant of is we wanted to make this equipment as versatile as possible. Being that it was custom engineered for us, we wanted to make sure that it fit as much as we possibly could. And so our team has kind of coined the phrase matchbox to shoebox. And it's literally a carton, as you can see, very small, up to something that literally would fit a pair of shoes. And so we try to make that as versatile as possible. One of the key learnings that we always impart on our customers, and I can't stress it enough to you guys, is the activity around artwork. The challenge that we have seen, it sounds silly, but the biggest challenge that we've seen in our serialization effort is getting our customers to adjust their artwork to be able to accommodate the serialization license plate. The simple bureaucracy of trying to get copy changed, copy approved through that process is amazingly complex, particularly at Big Pharma. We have had situations where it might take literally 6 months for them to get a copy change. And so we can only do so much in this process. Obviously, we can map data, we can do test runs, all those types of things. But ultimately, when it comes to changing the commercial copy and having it serialization ready, that is really in the hands of our clients. And we have not found a good way to get that moving faster. So I'd be open to taking suggestions if anybody has any. The other activity that we really have tried to help our customers out with as much as possible is preparing them for what the serialization license plate is going to look like. And we do that even to the point where we mock packaging for them and provide it to them so they can see the impact on their artwork with a true code, both in terms of scope and scale. And so that activity has been very fruitful for us in kind of preparing our customers for that. So these are some examples of what that might look like. Some of these may be on very small units, they might be on very large units, but you can see some of the key details that are required in that type of activity. The other thing that we've really talked to our customers a lot about, okay, I'll speed it up, is code management, the methodology by which we apply that code and inspect that code. And at PCI, we are big fans of laser coding. We try and promote laser coding wherever possible. But we do have clients that want us to use ink, and so we have to have that dual source solution as well. But highly partial to laser coding. The other main activity that has been a kind of a hot topic in our industry is aggregation. The requirements both in the US and Europe do not require right out of the gate for you to have aggregation. However, there are many, many benefits to using aggregation, and I would highly encourage you to do that. From a process perspective, adding aggregation to your line creates a lot more opportunity for inspection, very positive inspection in the process. It also creates better relations with your trade partners. All of the big 3 wholesalers in the United States have come forth and said they require aggregation. So if you provide non-aggregated product, that creates some additional work on their part because they won't take inference as a solution. So again, wherever possible, highly encourage that. We have really tried to make it our standard within our process, and we have seen the benefits of doing that within our systems. We, wherever possible, have tried to create standardization in our equipment, in our processes, in our documentation, such that our customer has a very consistent approach site to site. Wherever possible, we've tried to follow GS1 standards. We've been very active in Global Track and Trace, GS1, HDA, other types of trade organizations to find that commonality so as much as possible we can create that solution. So for us, we've tried to create as much as possible very, very robust solutions across our business. And where our customers have asked us to cut corners, we've really pushed back. We've really tried to create a solution that is in their best interest, both in terms of data management and risk mitigation, to make sure that we have a very robust solution. So our inspections inspect the product in the actual package that's going to be used. We do not rely on inference. It's a very, very well thought out solution in that regard. I did provide Ian's contact information as well. If there are questions that you guys have that I can't field myself, I'd be happy to facilitate that with Ian, who can really provide that opportunity for you. I would also invite you, we're going to have an event in London, which is a free event. You're all welcome to join. Please share with your colleagues, and you can actually register right on our website. So with that, I'll take any questions.